Big Papa and Shogun Godzilla can team up with Lion-O to fight Voltron. Well, they don't really want to fight Voltron. Maybe they'll fight Megatron
Right.
and Skeletor.
Hello there, my name is Kevin, aka Toying Around. Today we are going to be talking Super 7, their SDCC exclusives and reveals, and of course SDCC itself. Before we get started, please do me a favor, leave a thumbs up on the channel, share it on your social media, let everyone know what's going on, and of course, at any time, feel free to leave a message in the comment below if you have any questions or any suggestions, or even what you want to see going on in the future. Let me know. I love to hear from everyone. I try to get back to everyone as soon as I can. Now, let's get into it with the head of Super 7 himself, Mr. Brian Flynn. Brian, thank you for being here on a Friday, the weekend
Friday before Comic-Con.
Before Comic-Con. This will hopefully go up soon, so the timeline will stay intact. No messing with the multiverse. Thank you for being here. I always appreciate chatting with you because you bring the you bring the candidness. Is that the correct word? It's you talk about the toys that as the head of a company, you divulge a lot of cool information that I think a lot of regular collectors or like casual collectors maybe don't really get insight into. So I always appreciate that, and I think company as a whole, you guys do that, so it's awesome. So again, thank you so much for being here.
That's awful polite of you to say. Since I feel like every time I'm talking to people, I'm talking about like the 10% that's not going according to plan versus the 90% that's going according to plan.
SDCC is back. You've been putting out a series of incredible videos. I think the extended cut just got. I just was watching it as I was waiting.
Oh, did they drop an extended cut yet with all the bloopers?
I haven't gone through it yet because it's 10 minutes. But I have to say, after the series of videos,
it's at least 10 minutes worth of bloopers. At least, I knew that that was something we were talking about a lot, which is like there's going to be so many mess ups and bloopers. Like, what happens there? So if they put it out, that's great because it should be funny. I haven't seen it. Then they keep a lot of these edits from me on purpose, so that I think their job every year is like, okay, how do we make Brian make fun of himself even more? Okay, how do we make fun of himself even more? So,
well, after these videos have come out, how many roles have been offered to you? Because you've played a huge range of different characters.
You've played a lot of characters badly in your time. Could you play a character badly in our movie? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I messed a joke. I'm like, man, the range that Brian has from Ron Burgundy to
he's a really bad puppet. He's a bad news anchor. He's a bad horror host. It's great. He only really excels at the ShamWow.
You know what? I had friends message me who aren't like huge followers or like that buy into Super 7 product, but they're like, man, this guy's having fun with it, and I think there's a certain appreciation for something like that, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, we are having fun with it. That is for sure. Like I said, I do think though that Aaron and team are sitting around going, all right, what can we get him to do this time? With the Ron Burgundy one, they were like, if we film it last, will you shave the beard and just have a mustache? And I was like, I don't think I can do that for you.
Would people recognize you at SDCC?
Exactly. I would just look like a really pervy old man at San Diego. Like, who's dirt over there? Oh, ew.
Yeah.
Stay away from the cosplay. Oh.
What is he cosplaying as?
Clearly not me. I am cosplaying as somebody else.
Who's that Brian? Who's that guy? Who's that creepo cosplaying as Brian Flynn over there?
Exactly. Put on a fake beard. Get a Santa Claus beard. See if that works.
But yeah, SDCC is back, and you're getting stuff prepared. I have never been, and I probably won't make it for a while. For somebody like me who
why do you say a while? I can understand why I can't do it this year. Is it just that it feels like it's too far away?
It feels very daunting, and then with like 2 small children,
that's the harder part,
right? So a while would be until they grow up and don't care about what I do and don't need me to be there all the time, then I'll be like,
or you can do what I did when my kids were little. I was working at San Diego, and then my wife took the kids to Legoland. And they have a hotel just up the street at Legoland, and they just stayed at Legoland and went to Legoland for 3 days while I was at San Diego. Now, I stayed longer than that, but they crossed it over.
Okay, so if I update my statement and say, for the next little while, unless I get a job in the industry which requires me to go to SDCC, then I likely won't be going. But I've heard there's a special theme going on at the Super7 store, as well as what's going on with the booth. Can you give a quick description? I know there's a GI Joe theme going on in the store.
Yep. So we've got sort of two things. So obviously we have a store in downtown San Diego that is a stone's throw, a long stone's throw, but a stone's throw from the convention center. It is completely walkable. It is walkable to the point where the moment you go, did we go too far? It's the next corner. But it is right there in downtown Gaslamp, San Diego. And during San Diego Comic-Con every year, we literally empty the entire store and we turn it into some sort of theme store. So this year it will be GI Joe, and it is a Cobra recruitment center. So if you are ready to join Cobra, this is your chance. And so within the store itself, like the outside is completely done. We redid the whole inside. There's obviously a ton of plastic we've talked about with the Cobra Bat comic book version for Ultimates, the GI Joe Patrol and Glow Patrol. There we go. I can speak clearly. Glow Patrol and Reaction. We've got the Snakeling Factory box set for Reaction, and then there's a ton of other stuff that's not plastic. So there's T-shirts and fleece and jackets. We've got a collaboration with Alpha Industry on a Firefly bomber jacket. So it's a black on black camo bomber jacket with Firefly's name and everything on it. We've got a backpack with white camo for Storm Shadow. There's a bunch of really, really cool stuff coming up.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's the goal. And with GI Joe, we're really like, we wanted to have that fan moment again, that time where everybody can sort of get together and have a moment dedicated just to GI Joe.
And I have up on the screen here some of the exclusives that you mentioned. These are available in the store only?
They will be in the store only, and then whatever's left merchandise-wise will go live the Monday after.
Awesome.
The Snakeling box set, you don't get to see the outside, but there's actually an outer sleeve that covers the whole thing. That's the outside of the Snakeling factory, and then you slide off that outer sleeve, and then you see this underneath it. And that is Snake Eyes and Shipwreck in their Snakeling factory worker outfits. You've got the Sentry robot with his data pad that lets them in, and then you've got Cobra soldiers with the backpacks that they use when they're chasing them as they leave the factory. So that's the first time that figure's been made. Actually, it's the first time every one of those figures has been made, other than some customs, of course.
That makes sense. That tracks, because I sent this to my friend Jason, who is a big GI Joe collector. He loves your Reaction stuff. I sent this to him, and his answer was, of course, this shouldn't exist, but it does.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
shouldn't exist.
Hey, look,
but it does.
Super7.
Exactly.
That was my friend. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that was the guy who was. We did a toy hunting episode at Toys R Us. It's cool to see Reaction here. I think since the last time we spoke, it's since landed at Toys R Us. It's always a sight to behold, all the retro style packaging and artwork. We had a lot of fun. I think everyone I've gone with so far has had a lot of fun with seeing Reaction, and obviously a lot of the stuff is based in our nostalgia and things we grew up with, you grew up with, we grew up with. So that feeling, especially in a Toys R Us, it's just a crazy moment to see. I think Jason was very excited to see Arctic Bazooka.
Arctic Bazooka. It's a deep cut.
Yes.
And same thing, you've never had them before. And what's great about your videos is that I get to live through them vicariously, because I can't get to a Toys R Us, much like you can't get to San Diego. I have not been able to.
Now, why can't you get to a Toys R Us? Let's analyze that.
I gotta get to Canada. It's a little less of a destination than San Diego, but I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying I don't want to get up there. But the fact that it exists in the world still, because there's also Toys R Us in Japan, and the fact that we have that kind of display and floor space on it is something that me, over the last 40 plus years before they went out of business, 45 years, however long it was, is mind-boggling to me. I'd say I'd kill to see that, but I can clearly get on a plane. But I'm going to come see it sometime soon.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, one, we have a product in Toys R Us is crazy, much less like we've got a section. Like, we've got a section in Toys R Us. That's like, that's like one of those things where like we made it, we're done. Hopefully we keep going, but
yeah, let's not call it there.
It's not call it there, but it's still like that would have been the dream of any of ours all this time. I realize you still get to go to Toys R Us, but for the rest of us that don't, it's like, that's the place. Like, will we have our spot in Toys R Us one day maybe? And we do. And it's so cool.
Hopefully you get to experience it. What happens is, like, these are grown
we
men.
have to do a toying around where I come up there.
If I don't know if I'm budgeted for that.
And then I'm sitting there going like, they bent the card or something.
The show's not budgeted like that. Maybe season 2 when Netflix picks it up. But I think you saw the reactions. These are like grown men who squealed and giggled at the sight of these toys. And I imagine that might be your reaction, something similar when you see the section.
I think it would just be, it's just
in
like
real life.
It's like, wow, we really did it. we really pulled it off.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, I just wanted to see your reaction.
My reaction to the reaction.
To reaction. Oh, that's a nice. I'm gonna use that as a different segment.
There you go. Reactions on reactions.
Ideas all the time.
It's like deep thoughts with Jack Handy.
Yeah. Oh, there's also this snake eyes. I forgot. Well, you have to scroll up.
Oh yeah, that is the Michael Golden Snake Eyes from the Silent issue. And this is just a real quick one. Obviously, we did this figure as an exclusive for Target, but then at the very end of the comic, he gets his armor, shirt, whatever you want to call it, ripped, and you can see the tattoo for the first time. So this is just a real quick homage to that. And so this isn't one of those things where it's going to be available forever, because most people have the regular, the other version.
Right.
They don't need to have this one per se, but for that guy that's like needs to have that extra little bit. So it's a cool little fun thing just for San Diego.
I love it. And I think the other exclusives revealed are perfect exclusives, right? They're not things for a completionist who, like, if someone is collecting a main line, you don't have to get everything. These are, there's a lot of glow-in-the-dark versions of things.
There are a lot of glow-in-the-dark this year.
There are a lot of glow-in-the-dark. So I think
we made these decisions before the price of glow pigment went through the roof, unfortunately.
Glow pigment is a skyrocketing material.
Glow pigment's up about 10x what it used to be.
Good Lord. So. Okay, so we have 4 Ninja Turtles.
Well, the Ninja Turtles are out right now. They're they're a Super 7 exclusive. They're not necessarily a San Diego exclusive.
Yes.
So we did the Blue Glow Baxter Stockman number of years back at San Diego. 3 years ago, probably. San Diego.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's from the Bug Zapper Blast. They have kind of a blue blast. So we did a blue glow there. And then we did a blue glow Foot Soldier last month. And then everybody was like, that's all fine and great, but I like the Foot Soldier, but I collect turtles. Like,
right.
Give me glow turtles. And we're like, oh, kind of like, duh. it was the obvious. So these are the glow turtles that people ask for. So it's like, okay, you wanted glow turtles? Here we go, glow turtles. And those are up on the web store right now.
Yes. Also, yeah, congrats on the new website. Everything all together now. It's kind of
Yes,
cool.
pre-order site and everything all in one place.
Are the turtles, one of those glow turtles do? I think they're basically the same as the ones we have now, but
Yeah,
more
pretty
glowy?
quick. They're pretty quick. They're a translucent green with glow powder inside. They're actually in the other room because Josh is packing them right now. Or otherwise, I would
Okay.
go grab them.
It's all good.
But they're really cool. They're really cool. But it means that we can just turn them out faster. So I would expect they would come right about end of year because we'll need a few months to make them, then get them across the water and stuff. But they should move pretty quickly.
You mentioned earlier the GI Joe convention exclusives, whatever doesn't sell at the not the pop-up shop, the Super7 store, will be made available online on Monday. The stuff convention exclusives, is that the same deal?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll take stuff down, we'll pass it around, and
do the hokey pokey?
Yeah, I couldn't remember my own rhyme at that point. We will not. We will be doing the hokey pokey all weekend, and when we turn ourselves around on Monday, it'll be available because that's what it's all about.
Awesome.
Yeah, obviously our goal isn't to make it difficult for everybody, and we know there's lots of people that can't get in. So we want to sell to everybody who's there, and then the Monday afterwards, it's like, here's everything else. Here's your chance to grab and jump in. And then when it's out, it's out.
That's super cool. And in terms of what we can expect there, prototypes, I'm assuming, like you said, the turtles are packed. Like, are there like prototypes?
Yeah,
being
we'll be
shown
showing
of
off.
other...
We'll show off a few other things, mostly stuff that's. Yeah, I don't like to show off a whole lot of stuff, which is like, too bad you missed it, or this isn't even for sale now. So I generally will have stuff that's available now. So we'll have on display most of the ultimates that are up for pre-order right now. We'll have a few other test shots of things that are in progress for people to see. We'll bring down a bunch of the supersize. That'll be a lot of fun, including I think a future supersize will be on display that isn't out yet. And just, and then all the stuff that we're making for the show. And keep it pretty tight and fun so that everybody is, I don't know, having fun. Yeah. Like, oh, look, that's cool. I'll grab one of those.
Getting the whole experience.
Guns, it'll be great.
All right. And these exclusives, let's go through really quickly, or detail.
There's a whole bunch in here. Where do we want to start? We can start with the worst. So we got 4 different glows on the worst. We've got X1, X2, Killer Bat, and King Hell. If we look at that, it's pink glow for X2, normal yellow glow for X1, orange glow, I think, for Killer Bat, and then I think it's red glow on King Hell. So those are different pigments and colors on glow there. And those are on, obviously, vintage tribute cards that look like the old Remcos.
Awesome, very cool.
Remco 3 3/4. The glow-in-the-dark creature, this is the AHI sculpt. So the 1970s AHI, Azrak Hemway Incorporated sculpt of creature, like that in full size, like, they're $1,500 to $2,000 to find one. So this is the scale down of this, and this is it in glow. This is the, people going back between it. There's 2 sculpt variants. There's a wide hip and a narrow hip. This is the wide hip AHI in a scaled down AHI box as well. So this looks like the backing cards of the AHI figures. But
a lot of knowledge there. I love that.
Yeah, and then it is very much an homage to the original AHI figures. Then the Shogun Godzillas. So obviously the original Shogun Godzilla is this, nearly 2 foot tall, awesome toy from our childhood. And when we scaled that down to 3 3/4, I lost my mind on it. I loved it. And I was shocked at how many other people were in the same zone. Like,
Really?
people really love that figure. Like, it, people really, really got behind it. And so, same thing. I'm like, okay, I love that figure. I'll buy it in every size. Why don't we scale it up to an ultimate size? Now, it's not like the Toho Godzillas modern, the 90s Godzillas that we're doing, where they're like this long with the tail.
Mm-hmm.
But at that size, I can do the engineering to make it have a missile firing fist and do the lever with the pull down instead of a push and make the mechanics there. And so, like, we're like, let's make Godzilla and Ultimates, because I know I want that. And I think there's enough other people that would too. So let's scale up Godzilla and make him for Ultimate. So that's the opening of that pre-order. And then there is a glow variant of it as well, because same thing, we just talked about how cool it would be to have one in glow. And then we had a lot of internal debate about when do you release the glow. And in the end, it's, once again, it's not imperative to get. So we're like, why don't we do it at the same time? You can buy one or the other, or just get what you want. And then if you want them both, great. And then, you know, then we've got Godzilla on lock.
Those are really cool looking. I think I kind of regretted I'm not even a huge Godzilla guy, but I'm seeing the 3 3/4 one. Like, that looks like a lot of fun too. And then now it's like, oh, this will be bigger, and it's got
Yeah.
that same, like, I don't know, that
You
toyish charm.
can stand him next to your Optimus Prime or your Duke or Scarlet or Power Rangers or He-Man or whatever, and you could have He-Man fight Godzilla. How cool would that be? Shogun Godzilla.
That's the beauty of all the lines. You know, you're making them to kind of all fit together. So it's closer to it's not taller like a Megazord or anything like that, or what are some bigger, or like the Turtles villains that are taller, right? It's closer
No,
to.
it should be standard height.
Awesome.
He should match your Thundercats. So if you want Lion-O and Godzilla to team up to fight Voltron, this is your chance.
Which I'm sure people growing up have played that scene out.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then on the 3 3/4 size, which you're showing here, you're doing such a good. This is wonderful. Like, I don't have to do anything. You know, we've got 3 glow of our reaction figures from the Toho line. So you've got the 74 Mechagodzilla, Jet Jaguar, and the 54 Godzilla. And, you know, just super cool. Once again, you can't go wrong with glow. So
glow and 3 3/4 should be a winning combination.
Yeah, I think it is a winning combination. More glow.
More glows.
You know, My Pet Monster. My Pet Monster is another one of those figures that, you know, there's guys and girls out there that just absolutely love My Pet Monster. And you don't get a whole lot of My Pet Monster stuff. So we just wanted to bring him back and do some fun stuff with him. So this is sort of a, you know, this pastel neon glow version of him. So it's like, at this point, obviously, we're breaking out of what's been done with My Pet Monster and trying to create some new versions for him. And if you scroll over, you see it in the TV box that he comes with, where he's smashing out of the TV. He's super cool. Same thing. It's just super fun. Like,
yeah, your packaging is always it's always kind of pushing the envelope. This TV shaped envelope here.
Yes. And then Gem and the Holograms, like when we first made Gem and the Holograms, people were really into it. And we wanted to come back and be like, okay, how do we make another version of Gem, but at the same time kind of has to look like Gem. So what we did here was we put them in their original boxes. So sort of their J-flap boxes that they came with back in the day. And then we updated the paint on the figures to match the artwork on the boxes. Because in the original days, the artwork on the boxes didn't match the figures very closely, or in our figures even further away. So we wanted to make them match the boxes exactly. So you get more of that yellow to green hair on Pizzazz, and some other subtle shifts in there. So for your gem enthusiast, they can jump on in. And then for your regular person, if you bought gem the first time, you don't necessarily need to buy gem again. But if you're part of the gem world, we got you covered.
Or if you're there at SDCC, you walk by and you see it on the shelf, it's cool pickup. You're at a convention.
Exactly.
It's a nice looking piece to have.
What can go wrong with gem and Pizzazz?
When we talked before about one of the worst Ultimates figures, forget his name off the top of my head, but the robot dude, he has
Robot Reaper.
Yeah, he has the disc that you put in his head, and I believe you talked about it was pitched. How can we include an actual floppy disk with information that's it probably didn't reach that far into the design process. But when I hear something like that, and then I see a roll of toilet paper for Cornholio,
yes,
and I'm like, okay, now that makes sense. Now that diskette talk, this is one that passes like, okay, we can do this.
We can do this,
and let's make it toilet paper instead. Reaction, the great Cornholio. This is, your toilet paper. How are you expecting people to use this? Is I think the most important question for this interview is how many ply is this toilet paper?
Since it's printed paper, it is only single ply.
Dang.
Not that I was going to use it. I'm sure there will be people that use it. There will probably be some people that don't use it. But same thing. One of the funniest things that happened during the pandemic, especially when everybody was having the rush on toilet paper, if you remember the great toilet paper shortage,
yes,
is people would go to their local grocery store or Target or wherever and put Cornholio in the empty toilet paper section or near the one things of toilet paper and be like,
yes,
do you, and then they just do the quotes, do you have TP for my bunghole or whatever? And so we just we're laughing about it because Cornholio Beavis and Butthead do well, but Cornholio takes the cake, like the winner. Everybody loves Cornholio. And we're like, oh man, what can we, is there a place for Beavis and Butthead at San Diego? And we're like, what if we made Cornholio, but the display was him with his own roll of toilet paper? And then once then we're like, oh man, and then it just rolls downhill from there.
That is incredible. So those like almost viral posts of your reaction on shelves during. Wait, people took time to take those photos while they were scrounging for toilet paper?
Yeah, well, a lot of people have a sense of humor.
I guess for the Instagram, but if this product stems from that scenario, I think it's absolutely brilliant.
We probably got at least a dozen of those photos. And then just, everybody that got it, it's like, how do you merchandise a Cornholio? Like toilet paper and coffee. Like, we could have packaged them in a coffee cup. We actually talked about that. Like, does it come in a coffee cup? But it was like, no. He comes in toilet paper.
Printed.
Like, there we go. Yeah. With his key phrases there.
Of course. Also the infomercial that you filmed for this. The ridiculousness of it. Ever have trouble holding action figures and toilet paper? Yeah. No, nobody has. That's what
we needed to have that big, with the big X over it, like they're shown in grayscale, like, oh, my life is so hard. I'm trying to spread butter on my toast. It's just a fail,
It was I was actually excited when you said having trouble putting your carded figures together. I'm like, oh, is it some sort of display rack that will?
It is not a display rack. Instead, it is the best friends forever, Patrick and SpongeBob. So this is glitter SpongeBob, glitter Patrick, best friends forever. It's like those little lockets that you get,
right?
Best friends, and it's just a super fun little set. Like, you can't go wrong with SpongeBob, can you?
Got to get 2 sets of these if you don't have the regular ones and you need to open. Reaction is definitely a one to rock, one to stock kind of collecting.
You know, everybody's got their own point of view on it. I can understand why you would do that, but I also understand if you want to rip them open and play with them, because that's what they're for.
Yeah, but they're so beautiful. You know, we always talk about
it's my job. We got to do the whole thing, 360.
Some of the Joe stuff earlier. This the bat.
Yes, this is a comic book bat. So instead of black, he's blue with the orange. He's got different heads. He's got different elbows, different forearms, different hands. He's got, like I said, a couple different heads. And I think there's one other piece that's different about him. But yeah, it's completely retooling the whole bottom half of the arms and the heads, and then a couple other pieces. And oh yeah, he's got the backpack canister with the spores in it.
Right.
So you got this backpack when you open it up, and it's got the 3 purple spores in it from the comic books.
It's a great looking figure and design. There's a bat in Wave 1 of G.I. Joe Ultimates. Is this considered a variant, or is this like a whole separate figure that it's coming now first ahead of?
Yeah, I mean, we should have had Wave 1 in hands by San Diego. They're just running a little bit behind. They're literally supposed to leave the factory next week. So I'd say about 6 weeks from now, people will have them in hand. So it should have been, we just got our G.I. Joes. I love them. This is so exciting. And guess what? We've got a brand new one for you. Here's a comic book bat. Oh my, I could put this with my other figures? How great. And instead it's like, oh, I guess it's cool that you got that, but you haven't given me what I pre-ordered yet.
Right.
Sad trumpet plays. Yeah, it should have already been here. The best laid plans of mice and men. It always seems like the Wave 1 of every set we're working on seems to take a lot longer than the following sets.
But of course, Super7 website has the pre-order status page. You can always go to check it out for what's happening with different lines. One of the things I wanted to ask about, I am personally a huge Simpsons fan. When Wave 3 was announced for Ultimates, that was when I realized how much I really liked this property and how excited that made me for the line. Because 1 and 2, like 2 was already like all awesome characters. They're not even all like A tier, right? Hank Scorpio and like Krusty's in there. There's an update on the page
on Krusty.
Yes.
Krusty clearly has made it all the way through licensing, all the way through promotions, all the way through everything, sold everything. And somewhere along the way, somebody was like, wait a second, he's got cigarettes in his hands, which obviously he does in the movie. I mean, what am I saying? The movie, in the TV show all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a thing that we're not allowed to make a toy with a cigarette.
Okay.
So we had to update the toy so that it does not have a cigarette.
Okay. Was there anything else changed, or it was just like that was removed?
Just the cigarettes. So there was a head with a cigarette, hands with a cigarette,
right,
and the monkey had a cigarette. So we had to remove the cigarettes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So instead of smoking head, where he's like, you know, with his mouth off to the side with the cigarette, we replaced it with a different head. Hopefully, people are still okay with it.
I mean, I don't think it's a deal. For me, it's not a deal breaker, but I'm still excited to get a Krusty. It's one of the best characters on the show. Ralph, obviously, is a close runner-up for Wave 3, which is super, super cool.
Ralph with his paste.
Ralph with his paste. I know fans were like, oh, why didn't he come with his diorama of Star Wars figures? And then it's like,
oh, man, we haven't asked about that.
Yeah.
We've asked.
Oh, you asked.
And we've asked. We've asked. I want to make the Star Wars figures as they appeared in The Simpsons.
Right. Or even like a if it was like a cardboard cutout of it, but would that not work? Would that circumvent some sort of licensing?
It all comes back, that is still internally on how all that works. That is still a different team's IP. So we can't speak to somebody else's IP.
For sure. It's I know people were like, oh, if only it came with that. It's like, guys, you can get really small Star Wars toys. I found some. So, you can still make his diorama as it was in the show for the most part.
Plus his have like a blue and white package. They have a different look.
Yeah. But again, my excitement for The Simpsons, it's crazy. And to think that, you have a scale like Reaction under the brand of Super7, it just allows for I think making more characters. The show's been on for how many years, decades? How many characters have come through?
I think we're on season 439 right now.
I think you're right.
But we have another wave of Simpsons Reaction coming. It's another sort of holistic group of figures, the way the McBain movie was that first group. This is another group of a group of figures. I think people will be surprised by our choice.
Okay, so is every wave going to be themed, or that's just what it is for now? There's no cookie cutter.
The first 5 waves are all different groups, different themes.
Oh my gosh.
So they hang together as a whole.
And then eventually, when you have them all on display, you'll have Springfield.
It'll all make sense. Exactly.
Beautiful. Can you speak to, like doing it as Reaction? Does that make it easier to get more characters out? Is it like a more cost-effective way to get more to kind of build the world out versus doing it in
Reaction,
Ultimates?
It's a little easier to do those really, really obscure characters. Like we're doing Hank Scorpio is obscure, but Mendoza is far more obscure. But I can hang a group of 4 figures together with the McBain movie poster and be like, okay, here's a moment from within the show as a setting, as a group. Where at the Ultimates level, it's a bit more big picture, which is we're slowly building all the characters rather than really focusing on Reactions, really focusing on here's a moment. Here's a point in The Simpsons, not the overarching Simpsons, if that makes sense.
Oh,
maybe
myself
maybe
there.
not.
No, I muted myself because I'm a professional YouTuber by accident. So apologies.
Right now you're like, what do the kids need? What do the kids want?
Oh, they just got into Pokemon, so they're watching TV. What was I? There was one more thing.
And then I'm doing the thing where I'm looking at you on a laptop, but when we're talking, you're over here on the bottom left side, but my camera's over here. So
yes.
I look like I'm talking to somebody else altogether the whole time.
Simpsons Wave 1 currently in tooling at the factory.
Wave 1's in tooling, Wave 2's in tooling. It's the same thing where Wave 1's going slower and Wave 2's on its heels. So it'll probably be like Wave 1 and Wave 2 come out almost identical at the same time. Because with the size and the way we're engineering their legs, like if you think about Homer's legs and how they attach to that cylindrical body, it's not like your typical action figure crotch. So working out all the fine-tuned mechanics of how the Simpsons joints work when it's supposed to be a straight tube.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get all that stuff done, then you just apply it to everything. But like, there's a lot of like little tweaky stuff you're working on in the beginning. Because it's easy to be like, yeah, the joint goes here and we put the disc in here and this is how it's going to work. And then you get it and you're like, all right, well, we need to shave a little bit off this side and add a little material here and kind of come back and forth. So when their arms are down, you don't get this big chunk taken out from where their elbow is, but at the same time, you can still move it.
Awesome. Turtles, we're at Wave 5 is the next one coming. Yes, 5.
Yeah, 5 leaves. 5 is left, I think. Either 5 is about to leave or 5 left last week. I can never keep it straight, but 5 has already left. 5 may be landing here.
Oh wow!
Because wave 6 is almost done, too. So wave 5 should be here pretty soon. Same thing, like I think Thundercats 5 is supposed to be in warehouse like any day now. I think EE supposedly already got theirs and is shipping them out.
Very cool.
But they should be here like any day.
So the next things coming up are, you said Joe
Wave 1. Joe Wave 1 is supposed to leave the factory next Friday.
Okay. Awesome. So those are the next few things.
While we're in San Diego, it should get loaded onto a boat and head onto the water. Like the only reason it hasn't left yet is I'm waiting for, I get a sample when they're ready to put it on a boat, then they send me yet another sample of like, here's a production run. Like beforehand, it'll be like, here's a finished perfect sample. This is what we're going to match to. We say, great. And then at the very end, when they're done, we say, okay, now ship over, just grab a box, ship it over. And then we just proof that everything is correct before it gets on a boat. So it's technically Joe is done, but the box has not arrived yet. And so it is not on a boat. It's supposed to be on a boat next Friday because I will get the samples on Wednesday. I will look at them on Wednesday. We will send the information to them. If I approve them on Wednesday, they will get that Thursday morning. In China, that means then they schedule somebody to come pick it up and it goes to boat on Friday.
If we switch over to kind of some big vehicles that are in the works right now, I recently saw is just like a sample of that Thunder
Tank. The world's
tank.
largest Thunder Tank?
The world's, yeah, I mean, that thing.
It's right here. Oh. Hold on. It's so heavy. But yes, Thunder Tank. Hold on, I've got this part on top. But yes, this is Thunder Tank. It's gigantic.
That is unreal. I know there are a lot of fans and friends of mine who ordered this and are super excited for that. You're doing a masterful job of modeling it for us.
Yes, exactly. My Vanna White. Here it is.
Yeah.
Here's the cover that goes on top that you can swap out for the clear. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, maybe like it'll be a prize on wheel one day. Super7's.
Yeah. There you go. We can do the. You too can own your own Thundrillium.
But seeing that and everything kind of, you're showing off the motion on it before, I think it was on Floosh. The moving parts, everything, piecing it together. It's got me even more excited for the Turtle Van, the Party Wagon.
Party Wagon. I keep getting stuff, but I can't show it quite yet. But it's very, very close is maybe an operative word. It's close. We've still got to wait. It's still going to be another month or two before it's ready for prime time, but we're getting really close on it. Just working through a lot of the debugging and the molding and making sure it's got to look and feel like it's correct. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fine-tuned stuff. Where with this one at this point, it's 99.5% there. We just need to start seeing paint, which is supposed to be here. It was actually supposed to be here this week. It looks like it'll be here Monday or Tuesday. Then it's proofing paint and a couple of little tiny things, which is like, polish this area here, move, little things. This one's in a really good space.
Awesome. Because the last time you showed a Turtle Van, I think it wasn't at the full 100% print scale. It was like a smaller version. So
yeah, and that was the paint sample, Paint Master that we used.
Right.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like 10% or more smaller than the final will be.
Yeah, just so seeing that Thunder Tank, it's just now I'm gonna be that guy. It's like, oh, where's the Turtle Van? When's it coming? So, but I'm just.
I would love to. I would trust me. I would love nothing more than to be like, here's the Turtle Van.
I want to be that interview where you're like, whoa, what? It just arrived and it's right here. No, like, but
I've
it's
got one, but if I show it off, it'll cause more questions than it's worth at this point. Because because somebody will take a screen capture, magnify it 435%, zoom into like the tread on the back tire, and be like, "This is wrong," and it's like,
inaccurate.
Trust me, it's gonna be fine.
No, obviously we all want it to be perfect when it comes out. So everything's going to be put through the process. Yeah, that's the beautiful part. Oh yes, I do want to lightly press this topic. I saw on Instagram there was a rather rude comment, but that's not the focus. It was your reply, which I found very interesting. They were talking about Ultimates, ODB, and Biggie, and I think you replied those are coming this year. Was that like, did you think he was talking about Reaction, or
No, he was talking about Ultimates.
he and you read
I think he was
Ultimates?
talking about. I'm pretty sure he was talking about Ultimates.
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's okay. That's okay.
Cool. Russell Jones. Yeah, we got Russell. I got Russell Jones in the works. I got a BIG in the works. Come on, we got that way. Big Papa, and Shogun Godzilla can team up with Lion-O to fight Voltron. Well, they don't really want to fight Voltron. Maybe they'll fight Megatron,
right,
and Skeletor.
Wow. Okay, because I have a group chat with a whole bunch of people. I'm like, hey, we're all fans. If I have a chance to ask Brian some questions, what would you guys like to know about SDCC reveals and those products? And of course, it inevitably becomes, can we get this? Can we get Biker Mice from Mars? Can we get?
That's my whole life. Can we get? And then I'm like, the other thing I'd have to say is I'm always welcome for people to ask those questions, but I can guarantee you I have that list plus more.
Right.
Because as much as you've been thinking about this for like a couple of days, we've been thinking about it for a couple of years.
So. Right.
But and there's always stuff that people, there are things that people bring up where I'm like, oh shit, we didn't think of that.
Oh, like,
that's really crazy. That's a really good idea. And sometimes it's on variant pieces and parts that we can add to things. Somebody not too long ago came up with a really good idea for an Ultimate that we have. And we're like, oh, that's a cool idea we hadn't thought about. Like, I'm going to save that for about a year from now. And I will let them know and send them one.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah. There's been a couple of those where people are like, you should do this. And we're like, oh, shit, we should do that. All right. Give me your name and number. All right. I'm going to send you something in the mail.
Or when Kyle said, you guys should do Ghost. And
well, I mean, I think Kyle said that before he ever even started working here. And then once he started working here, I think he said it at least daily, not multiple times a day. And then finally it was like, okay, Kyle, just make Ghost. We give in. It's not true because him and Brian Liu were both like, we need to make Ghost. We're like, let's make Ghost. But I think that Ghost we've made far more Ghost than I think even Kyle could tell you that he believed we would make.
That's the beauty of the whole thing. But yeah, when I open it up for questions, like you said, that's your whole life. All those, can you make this? Can you make this? I'm like, guys, it's not a pitch meeting. But, there were like, can we get Biggie in Ultimates? Can we get ODB? And then I saw that reply on Instagram and, I did whatever the social media version of a double take was. I scrolled down and then I went back.
Wait, did he actually say what I just thought he said?
Like there was a record, there was a DJ for some reason, and then he just like did the whole. I had to take a look, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to screenshot this and bring it up. So
exactly.
It's
stuff like that sometimes where people are like, I think you just confirmed something you haven't announced, but I don't know, but I think so because you're the guy. But at the same time, you don't do it that way usually. So I don't know if I should trust you or not.
That's it. And fortunately, I have this avenue to
Yeah, exactly. To
address it
confirm.
directly. Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
confirmed. Confirmed. I will bring that back, and I won't make any clickbaity headlines. I'll just let the information seep out on its
Disseminate.
own. Yeah, disseminate. Yeah, much better word than seep out. But yeah, no, now that it's confirmed, I'm just thinking of outfits and all the things that can happen. And
um, yeah, I mean, with Biggie, there's an unfortunate reality that like some of the key outfit stuff you can't really do and I don't
brands,
know all the ins and outs of it with everything, but you can't do him with the crown right now.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so that's a really interesting point of view because you're like, oh, come on, you got to do Biggie with the crown, but can't do Biggie with the crown right now. There's a few other things like that where there's some different odds and ends and everything. Uh,
I can just give you a hack. Tell your fans to buy Prince John. Just use that crown.
you could. It's not quite the same.
No, it's not.
Head size is a little different too. That Prince John head's pretty big. Biggie's is a normal size human head.
Oh yeah, because it sits on his ears.
Yeah,
Just
and on
off
the
the top.
snout and everything. Yeah, so he's got a big old crown. Prince John's got a big old crown.
Um, as another Robin Hood fan, have you seen anything of Robin Hood from Wave 2?
He's awesome. He's amazing. He's
Can
he's
you
everything I wanted him to be and more.
Are
He's
you allowed to talk about how the whole costume works? The stork onto his body? Is it
um yeah, I mean underneath obviously when he's the stork, with his legs and his feet, we have a thing where we snap it into the stilts. So it's like if his
cool?
so it's just below the line of the shirt, if you will, is where you bend back his legs and we attach them to the stilts. So there's like a bigger platformy thing that underneath there to hold him in place. But all you see coming out from underneath the shirt is the stick legs.
Okay,
So
awesome.
yeah, that one took a while to sort of like combine and get ready, but it's it's really cool. It's really cool. That's such a fun figure. I love that Robin Hood movie so much.
Yeah, I had to rewatch it recently. Well, not had to, chose to. But I know you're a big fan of it, so I wanted to know your reaction to it.
My
And
reaction to it, my reaction is awesome. When do I make the guards?
oh, okay,
But it's not
yes,
not yet. Not yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
not not confirmed, not confirmed
Not
everywhere.
confirmed. Not
Not
confirmed.
confirmed. Unconfirmed. I've had a lot of fun doing the Toys R Us episodes, and it's cool that you've seen it as the maker of these toys, seen those segments. It's been a delight, and it's always cool to see feedback from people
Well, it's also
involved
just
in
fun.
one way or the other.
It's a fun thing for outside of that, which is aside from the fact that my reactions are in there, is just same thing. Going to the store with your friends. What are you reacting to? What are they reacting to? Everybody collects different stuff, and where there's certain things on the shelf that you don't even see when you walk by, like they just because it's not in your world, and you have somebody else that completely stops you. It's like, look at this and look how awesome it is. And you're like, oh, I didn't even really pay attention to that before. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Or if you're both like, yep, 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 got to have them. Like I can see those damn droids cards back there, and in San Francisco, we don't even really even have targets. Like we have a
Really?
couple city targets, and then you have to leave the city to get to a normal target. But the normal targets are literally right on the border of San Francisco, and at any given moment, they look like a hurricane's about to hit because it's the closest one. It's just annihilated. So I've only been able to find this C-3PO in the wild so far. I haven't been able to
Oh,
get R2 or Boba Fett yet. and I'm not ready to pay somebody $40 on eBay for them. So
don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll have my moment. I'll have my moment. But like those things, they're so cool. It's like it's so obvious that it needed to be done, especially Boba Fett recolored as he was in Droids. It's like I've been waiting for this since 1985.
And that's cool because as a toy maker, that's kind of your approach for reaction, or like most of the toys, right? It's like there's an opportunity to make this. Nobody made this when we were kids, so you're making it yourselves. So it's cool that you can see that, you can spot that in other stuff and collect for yourself too. I think it's kind of a comparison on both sides for sure.
Well, it's just one of those things, like, as we all, when I started collecting Star Wars again in summer of 91, it's like, I got a Droids R2, I got a Droid C-3PO, then you get a Droids Boba Fett, and you're like, no, it's just regular Boba Fett. Like, you recolored the other ones to match the cartoon, but you didn't do it to Boba Fett. Come on, I need another Boba Fett.
Come on.
It's like the B-Wing pilot. Like, you didn't repaint the B-Wing pilot. Realize that in the show he's basically the same colors, but there should have been some difference to the B-Wing pilot on a droid.
Is there? I know you're a Star Wars. What degree of Star Wars fan would you say? Like, do you collect everything, or you're just a fan of the properties from before?
I think I enjoy it as a whole. I am clearly incredibly biased against the original 3 movies, 4, 5, and 6, because that's what I grew up with. 1 through 3, I saw, after I was already graduated college and stuff. So there's moments of all of those movies that are really interesting. There's moments that I don't love the same way. There's a lot of that vernacular that it's very interesting that people are like, I hate those movies. And then yet they'll reference all the things that happened in those movies that required other things to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but the things that happen are really important. And then, with the new movies, the new trilogy was a very interesting sort of thing. Like, I really felt like with number 7, blanking on the name right now. Why am I blanking on the name?
The Force Awakens?
The Force Awakens. It's like the first half to 2/3 of that movie I thought were phenomenal. Like, you really, really get to know who Rey is, her motivations, get to understand her. You really get to know Finn pretty well. And you're like, and BB-8, you're like, okay, I know these characters. I'm pretty invested in them. The way they introduced the Millennium Falcon still felt genuine, because at least with Finn and Rey piloting it, it was fine. When you get to the Han Solo introduction, it's a little like, oh, did he have to show up this quickly? But at least he's on brand in the fact that he's clearly screwed a whole bunch of people over and people are trying to hunt him and nobody trusts him. That part's good. I thought that when it went to Maz Kanata's, it was still interesting. I think once you get to it a little bit later, and it starts to be sort of a replay of Star Wars a little bit with Star Killer,
right,
parts of it were less interesting. But at the same time, Kylo Ren was a really interesting take on a bad guy. And I pretty much liked that first one. I think, like most everybody, I had difficult moments through number 8, just because it seemed so fragmented. It's like, we're going to try to do this, but then we're going to try to do this. We're going to do this, but we're not going to explain it. What 7 did such a good job of was setting up slowly and letting you explain everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That first bit, like when Kylo Ren shows up and he stops the gun blast in midair, and it's just sitting there hovering. You're like, whoa,
we haven't seen that.
Yeah, and you're like, this is pretty rad. Here we go.
Yeah.
And then with 8, it's not about whether or not I liked what they did with Luke or anything. It was more that we just didn't have the time to set up who these people were and what the relationships were. and what was going on. Like when Rey goes into the dark side hole, and then touches the glass and then comes up, you're like, I don't understand what happened. And so, and then they start building in the love triangle with Finn. And I thought she was a really interesting character, but I didn't understand the competing dynamics around the two. Are Finn and Rey in love with each other? Is it Rey and Kylo? Is it Finn and Rose? Like that part just muddied it all for me. And then when you get to 9, there were a lot of really cool things in 9, but there was still like, oh, Rey went to be Uber Jedi in 15 minutes. Like she didn't have, that was always the thing about Luke that was interesting, was how much he had to work for it.
Right.
It didn't come easily. And I thought that it was just resolved, but there were a lot of cool moments. But at the same time, like giving Chewie a medal at the end, I'm like, all right, I can't hang with that.
Super 7 has put out Star Wars stuff in the past.
In the past.
And as a an obvious Star Wars fan, is that something that you hope for one day to do again?
I think it's the whole reason I got into this, isn't it? Not completely. Not completely. There's two sort of lines that I want desperately to eventually be able to get to make my versions of. And I say that not arrogantly, but as selfishly, very selfishly. These are the ones I want. And this is what I want. One of them, it looks like we'll probably get to do in 2020, late 23, early 24, probably early 24. One of them, it's a very small line. One of those I will get to put out, and I'm excited about that because I've been thinking about it since I was probably 13.
Cool.
And then Star Wars, hopefully one day. Hopefully one day. That's going to be a hard nut to crack. That is the golden goose of licensing, and it is well locked down by Hasbro and everyone for the same reasons. Like it's a whole company full of people over there that want nothing to make but Star Wars toys, and they're really getting the opportunity to make some great stuff. No different than us talking about those droids figures earlier. I think there's a lot of room in a lot of places with Star Wars. I don't want to, give it all away, but I think that there is so much space. I realize everybody's like, they've made every background character in Star Wars. That is true. But there's also, if you look at it through different lenses, there's hundreds of characters that have never been made, hundreds of points of view that have never been made. And hopefully one day we'll get there. But that's less of a me decision and more of a Hasbro decision. I've asked. Cool. It's funny. You start to bring it up. What about the car? And they just like, let me just stop you right here. We're not even going to let you finish the words. Like, we let you play with G.I. Joe. Stop.
And Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's all fine. Don't even bring up the words Marvel or Star Wars in these meetings ever again. And it's like, I understand.
It's like you already have Joe.
Joe is one of those that it took us many years, but I'm very thankful to everyone over at Hasbro for letting us do our point of view on G.I. Joe, because we're having a lot of fun with it, I think, which is evidenced by some of the stuff that we're making. And I think that we are very much supportive and part of the greater whole of G.I. Joe, and that we don't take anything away from what Hasbro is currently doing. Clearly, if you can fund a HISS tank in about 15 minutes. So,
my goodness. Well, I mean, Reaction, G.I. Joe, you're obviously doing a service for G.I. Joe fans that's
we're talking about our segment, and hopefully what we do helps support what they do.
Yes.
you know, there's so much GI Joe to go around, and I think always the thing I think we may have talked about it before, especially with a lot of stuff we make, is everything doesn't have to be made for everybody. Like, I'm making my version of what I'm interested in GI Joe compared to what I already have. And if it's not the version you were looking for, that is okay. And not everything that comes out from a license has to be for every collector. Like, I can make stuff for this smaller subset over here and this smaller subset over here. And there will be some stuff that crosses over, but it's okay to have little things for different people along the way.
It's super cool. And yeah, it's the whole toy space. There's I think room for all that stuff. Brian, thank you so much for chatting with me, and congratulations on all these awesome exclusives you'll have. And of course, make sure to check super7.com on Monday for whatever stock is available. And good luck at SDCC.
I'm excited to see everybody. It's going to be great fun, and thanks for chatting with me again. And when I cross the border on your side, we'll go to Toys R Us.
I will.
And I will cry manly tears.
I'll have 2 cameras ready to capture that.
Look, he's actually crying.
Get it from every angle.
Exactly. How do how do we make this so that we can now make it funny? Now edit it to make him look worse.
No, if you cry, then your guys are going to be like, all right, let's have Brian cry on command for
exactly. Cry in every video.
Now.
Oh
man, yeah. Let's not set that precedent. Have a great show. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.